everybody. Welcome to Life Groups Live. We're so glad to be with you. If you don't know me, my name is Garrett Hawley, and I get to be the middle school minister here at Northside. We want to thank you for joining us right now on Instagram, on Facebook, and on YouTube. Go ahead and hit subscribe or follow to those, whatever you're watching on. But we would also love to see your comments tonight. So, right now I'm going to ask you all I'm going to throw out a question, and I want you guys to go ahead and comment. So, right now, comment the very last thing you've eaten. So what was the last thing that you ate, so we can make sure they're coming through. Ethan Scott is here with us tonight. He's going to read some of those comments to us as we're here. It's going to be great. But Kevin, what's the very last thing you ate?
I'm trying to remember right now. What did I eat? You know what I ate? I ate French fries. I know that's not a surprise to any of you, French fries. I went through McDonald's just before coming here because I knew I was going to do Life Group Live, and then we're going to have our group right after this, and so I wouldn't have time to eat before, doing our Zoom meeting for 9th grade boys. So I had French fries. Thanks, Garrett. It makes me feel real good about myself. I feel like I'm confessing to all of you right now. That's what I actually feel like.
Well, get out what you need to, all right? Let's hear from Ethan. You got any comments coming in? What are some things people ate?
Yeah, so let's see. Leah Weaver said dirt cake. Not totally sure about that,
cake.
But
Leah, that's not a real thing. You just ate dirt.
I guess. I don't know. Let's see.
Oh, it's Leah's birthday today. Happy birthday, Leah.
It is.
Isn't
Happy
it?
birthday.
Happy birthday,
yes.
Leah.
Absolutely.
It's nice knowing you. Anyway, what else? What else you got?
Yeah, so Lexi Stevenson said currently eating Cinnamon Toast Crunch. It's one of the best cereals out there.
Great cereal.
Owen Bushnell said Hong Kong Inn and now Oreos. So
that's like the perfect combination. Just have to say, Owen, way to go.
That works.
Proud of you, boy. Proud of you. Represent us well.
Yeah,
Hong Kong Inn and Oreos. I wonder, I dare you, Owen, to mix them together and then take a picture of you eating Hong Kong Inn with crushed up Oreos on it. All right, if you would do that, I would love that.
Sorry, Kevin, I gotta disagree. That's just gross.
Disgusting.
Like that's disgusting.
Okay.
All right. Well, hey, I'm excited that you guys are here joining us. If you didn't know, it is April. Because maybe you've been stuck in your house for so long that you think it's still March, but it's actually April, which means that we are about a month and a half away from our high school camp and our middle school camp that we go to every year. And so I am totally excited about camp. I'm really looking forward to getting out, just enjoying some of the summer stuff with you guys. And so I went back in our old camp files just to see what I could find in terms of camp pictures. And so here's a few pictures that I just wanted to show you that I think represent camp well. All right, so here's the first one. I don't know if we can get that up on the feed right now. Hang on just a sec. He's gonna see if you pulled up. There we go. There's the first one. You can see Nathan Pounds, one of our former life group leaders, youth ministry workers, is right in the middle. And I think this is when they were doing Rec Rally. But what this picture really represents to me is community. Just community, people coming together, getting to know each other from different grades, different backgrounds, and just having fun together. Let's see, what's the next picture that we have? What do we have up here? Oh, that's
wow.
That is not
Suave.
one of the pictures I think I picked, but okay.
Cool Ray-Bans.
Those are, he is styling in that picture. There's no doubt about that. That's Corey Scott, our worship minister. He also comes to camp with us. What's next?
So, this has to be one of the main sessions, worship, right? So camp is all about time with God, and that includes our main sessions. And it doesn't matter if you have been to camp a lot of times or this would be your first time. You want to go and you want to experience these. These are just awesome times of teaching, but also like singing and worship, and it just really connects you to God. I love that part.
All right, let's see what's the next one. Oh yeah, this is the one that I absolutely love. and I'm going to tell you, first of all, this is Tyler Moss, he graduated last year, so he's actually a freshman in college now, but a kid that just has a bunch of fun. And man, he plays games hard. He goes hard, especially things like ultimate frisbee and stuff like that. But here's why I love this picture, is because camp is fun. It is just fun. I can tell you story after story after story of people who had so much fun at camp and the memories that have lasted for years when people come back and say, hey, you remember that time at camp? And we start to laugh about it just all over again. So you can get that off the screen now. It's okay. You don't have, please
take it away. So anyway, obviously we want to encourage you guys to sign up for camp. And some of you are probably thinking that maybe, I know probably girls are better at this. They think ahead. Right, boys were like, what's the next meal? That's mostly what we think about. But I do think you're probably thinking, are we even going to have camp with this coronavirus going on? And so let's just talk about that a little bit. Right now, high school camp is scheduled for May 31st through June 5th, and middle school camp is scheduled for June 14th through the 19th. If we went ahead and we opened registration, and if hopefully we're hoping we can just have camp like we normally would, and things would go great. But if for some reason we still can't meet those first few weeks of June, we have alternative dates already on the calendar for when we can go to Maranatha at a later date, hopefully when it's safer to do it. Coronavirus has died down a little bit. We flattened the curve, all those things. So if you register for camp now and we have to cancel those dates, your registration will automatically transfer to the next camp. And if for some reason you can't go to those dates, like you had a trip or a family emergency or something, you can work with the camp and you can get a refund. So we are already trying to make plans for if we can't have it at the original dates, but we definitely want you to go ahead and get excited for camp and sign up. You can register online at northsidechristianchurch.net/camp. All right.
Nice. Well, hey, today we actually have a Zoom mystery guest with us today.
Dun, dun,
and I am super pumped that this person is joining us. We're going to play a little game with them. But first, I'm going to see if you can guess who this is. So I'm going to give you some clues, and on the comments, you just start commenting, who do you think this is? Who do you think this person is? So very first one, say it this way, she, that should, limit your options a little bit.
Yeah. Pretty good.
She has been attacked by a monkey. She's been attacked by a monkey before. I don't know what kind of monkey. Could be a gorilla. Like she was like beat up or something, or I don't know, or maybe it was like what are those little ones called, lemurs or something like that? Is that a monkey? I don't know if that's a monkey or not.
Not a monkey.
It's not a monkey?
But it's a
okay.
It's a lemur.
Well, anyways, she's been attacked by a monkey, so comment. All right. She played the electric violin in her high school marching band. Oh. Mind blown right now. I had never even heard of this until I met her.
Branson show.
It is like a Branson show. It wouldn't surprise me at all. I've seen photographic evidence of this. All right, I'll put it that way. Seen photographic evidence of this. Okay. She is also one of our prayer leaders. So she serves on a Sunday morning in our youth ministry, one of our prayer leaders. So keep guessing, keep trying to figure out who it is. And this year, she will be leading out with our rec rallies at camp. And I think she's doing both, high school and middle school camp, if I remember right. They're giving me the thumbs up right now, so she's committed now, all right? So she does rec rallies at high school camp and middle school camp this year. And all right, Ethan, what are people saying? What are they guessing right now?
Yeah, so mostly right now we got we have Aaron Roseman, Milana Hainline, and Carson. Those are like the three main ones that people are.
I do want to say on Facebook, Corbin Vanderweg thinks it's Jane Goodall.
Jane Goodall.
A lesser known member of Northside.
Oh man, that is awesome. That's awesome. Well, if we can get our technology to work right, we can show you who it is. So, ladies and gentlemen, it is Aaron Roseman. Aaron, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Awesome. Well, hey, we're so glad that you are joining us. Aaron, what have you been up to lately? You're normally like a school teacher for elementary kids, and so school's out. And what are you doing with your time?
I am doing as much as I can, still teaching. Our district doesn't have a lot of Wi-Fi capabilities, so we're doing a lot of paper packets, but I still need to check in with students. I've been helping deliver food to students who need food. I am actually, so I teach third grade now, and I'm actually teaching fifth grade next year, so I am writing curriculum for that and getting ready, and I'm super excited. So, and I've been reading a lot of books.
Nice,
Find
nice.
a space and see.
Wow. Wow, you have definitely made a lot of use of your time. Probably better than most people who have just binged Netflix shows the entire time. So
Don't
that's
judge,
impressive. Well, Aaron, we wanted to have you on just to play a little game with us today, and this game is called 5 Stars, is what it's called, okay? And here's how the game works. Basically, I'm going to read you an Amazon product review that was either 5 stars or 1 star, and you have to guess the product. I'll give you 3 choices, so you don't have to like come up, by yourself, but I'll give you 3 choices, and you have to guess which product goes with this particular review. All right? Are you
Are
ready?
you going to tell me how many stars it got?
Yeah, I'll tell you how many stars.
Okay.
Oh, the screen froze on us. Did it freeze? Oh no. All right. We'll see. Technology. Oh, there we go. It unfroze.
Oh.
For a little bit. Okay. Well, even if the screen froze, we can still hear your audio, so that'll be all right, I think.
Sure. Yeah, that's good.
Okay. So, Aaron, here we go. Mike left this 5-star review. Said this: wife was constantly kissing me while I was playing Xbox.
Wow.
Now,
problem.
I no longer have this issue. It repels her nicely. Okay? Is it 1, Axe body spray, 2, bacon scented lip balm, or 3, pickled flavored breath mints? So Axe body spray, bacon scented lip balm, or pickled flavored breath mints?
That's a hard one. I think I'd be repelled by that. I'm going to go with the pickled breast mints.
Aaron, that is incorrect. I'm sorry. It is bacon scented lip balm. Bacon scented lip balm. We may need to get that guy some marriage counseling. I don't know. He may have some issues if he's like trying to play Xbox
Let's
when
check
his
on Mike.
wife is trying to kiss him. All right. All right. Do you want to do this one?
Sure.
Or I can do it. I got it.
Great.
Okay.
You go ahead then.
All right. Jessica Alfred Jenkins left this 5-star review. Says, I got these for my sister for Christmas, and they were by far, hands down, the best thing I've ever given to her. She loved them immediately. They're comfortable and 100% amazing. Now I have to order some for myself. Is it 1, blob fish slippers? That's hard to say. Elf on a Shelf tube socks, or number 3, crocodile eating human 2-piece blanket set? Blobfish slippers, Elf on a Shelf tube socks, or crocodile eating human 2-piece blanket set?
I'm going to go with the human 2-piece blanket set.
Aaron, that is incorrect. It is blobfish slippers. And I think we actually have a picture of some of these things. If Chaz will switch over to the right angle or right camera thing, we can show you some. This is what the blobfish slippers look like.
Ugly.
They are super ugly. Super ugly. All right. Number 3. Dippity Doxy left this 5-star review. I used to make chocolates. The salted caramel was delicious and easy to remove from mold, so that even the tails and the small paws came out perfectly. Is it 1, Bobcat chocolate mold, 2, polar bear cookie cutter, or 3, the Dash Hound ice cube tray?
What was the second one?
It was the polar bear cookie cutter.
And it was the tail and the paws came out nicely?
Yep, the tail and the small paws came out perfectly.
Okay, what's the first and third one again?
Bobcat chocolate mold, or Dash Hound ice cube tray?
Last one.
The last one? That is correct!
Ding, 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 ding.
Ding, 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 ding. The Dash Hound ice cube
Finally.
tray. Why don't you show everybody what that looks like? The Dash Hound ice cube tray. That looks like that.
Are you saying
Dash
Dash
Hound?
Hound?
Dash Hound.
Dachshund.
It's a
Is it
dachshund? No, it says Dash Hound.
I know, that's how you spell Dachshund.
I thought you were saying the whole I was like, I think it's a dachshund. The whole time you were saying
That is not how you spell
I-
dachshund.
It definitely is.
DAUSCHUND or something like that.
Oh my word, I had no idea that you
Wow.
spelled it that way.
That's awesome.
All right. All right, let's see here. Let's do two more. Let's do two more. All right, two more. All right, let's see here. Fran G left this 5-star review. We use this for our middle school's living literature competition, and it worked really well. My only issue is that it's a little large and that it had to be fluffed out for the full effect. I understand that it's meant for adult males, but it was the best option. Additionally, we opted to make some of the holes larger for breathability reasons. Okay? All right. Is it number 1, the realistic giraffe mask? Number 2, Mark Twain wig? Or number 3, Frida Kahlo unibrow? Did I say that right? Oh, I didn't say it right. Kahlo unibrow. What do you think?
Oh, living literature's throwing me off. Okay. I don't think it's a unibrow, because breathability adding holes.
It's a really big unibrow.
That would be a huge unibrow, wouldn't it?
The first one is the giraffe. That I don't think literature. So I'm going to go with, I don't know why you want to make air holes. I guess because, heat escapes from your head. So we're going to go with the Mark Twain wig.
The Mark Twain wig?
Yes.
You are incorrect. It is the realistic giraffe mask is what it was. So let me show what this looks like. The realistic giraffe mask. That is a creepy giraffe mask.
It has eyelashes.
I know.
Oh, the details.
I kind of want to get one of those and just wear it on here at some point in time.
No. I would hate that so much.
Oh, man. All right. Okay, so let's do one more. This will be our last one. Okay. Let's do, okay. Toby E. wrote this lengthy 5-star review. Awesome. That's the total review. Okay.
A 33.3% chance.
All right. Is it number 1, Diana Ross singing toilet paper spindle?
Ooh.
Number 2, giant inflatable pool burrito. All right.
I mean, that's pretty awesome.
Or number 3, roast beef sandwich bath soak.
Oh.
The roast
And
beef
guy?
sandwich bath. Toby E. I don't know. It's Toby with a Y, so I'm guessing it's a guy. All right. But
Okay, we got a burrito inflatable.
Yep.
We got a, what was the first one?
Diana Ross singing toilet paper spindle.
And then the last one was...
That was the roast beef sandwich bath soak.
Ew.
Let's go with the burrito pool toy thing.
The giant inflatable pool burrito. Aaron?
Yeah.
That is incorrect. I'm sorry. Oh, it is the roast beef sandwich bath soak.
That's my second guess.
Throw that up there. Throw that up there. We gotta see that. That is disgusting. And what cracks me?
Bon appetit.
Why would you buy that?
Deliciously
How many
weird.
stars? Did he give it 5? And
Yeah,
awesome.
he wrote 5 stars. 5-star review. Awesome. That's what he
a
wrote.
guy that's in quarantine and very bored.
Probably. Well, Aaron, thank you so much for coming on Zoom with us. Thanks for playing this game with us. We miss you a whole lot. We miss getting together with you. Anything you want to say to students before you head out?
Well, we miss you guys so much, and I don't know about you, but I'm anxious to get back to church so we can meet together, and I'm holding out for camp. So pray hard that we get to go to camp, because I'm so excited.
We will pray hard. Hey, Aaron, thanks a bunch. We love you a bunch. We'll talk to you later. Man, she's a great youth ministry sponsor.
Yeah, she's the best.
Great youth ministry sponsor. So, Garrett,
Hey.
I think it's your turn, right?
Sure. It says it is. Thanks again to Aaron for joining with us this time. That was super fun. But hopefully you guys had the opportunity this morning to join us for church online. And if you did, you know that we started a new series today called Bittersweet. It's about tasting the goodness of God when life is hard to swallow. And so this morning, Alan Tiger, he preached to us, and he talks about depression and what it looks like to walk through depression alongside of God and alongside of community. And he looked at a story of Elijah. But for this series, Bittersweet, we're going to be walking through other issues too. Anxiety, anger, regret, resentment, addiction, and doubt are some of the topics we'll be covering. And we just wanted to spend some time on Sunday nights to kind of break down these topics from the perspective of a student or a teenager, because we only have so much time to talk about it during church on a Sunday morning, and we think this is really relevant stuff to middle and high school students. And so we want to take the time to break it down and talk through it and talk about how we walk through these things or help our friends walk through these things. And so we're going to watch some clips today of the message. So even if you watched this morning, don't check out. Like, really use this time to absorb what Alan is saying, and then engage with us online and comment what you thought about it or what was helpful to you from what he's saying. So we're going to do that now. More than likely, you may have not struggled with depression. I know several students that do, though. And so you might know someone, maybe a family member or extended family member or another adult you know has struggled through depression. And understanding it is really important. And so if you were able to watch this morning, we showed a video from Marion Conover, who is a counselor, and he is here on Mondays at the church, and he does counseling in some of the classrooms we have. But he defined it really well. And so we're going to show a clip of Marion talking about what depression is. So let's go ahead and show that clip if we can.
I've heard people describe their depression as living in a fog. And I've thought of it myself as something that the effects of it are kind of myopic, meaning I see things up close, but I don't always see the big picture. And those are pretty common dilemmas for people who are struggling with depression. The symptoms for depression are really varied. We normally think of them as sadness, tearfulness, lethargy, apathy, and those are characteristic of depression for sure, but it can also be experienced as irritability or sudden outbursts of anger, or oftentimes there's a sense of loss or a sense of fear that is contained in the depressive experience.
You know what I really liked about what Marion had to say is he described depression like a fog that you just can't see through, you can't get through, you feel like you're constantly in it, in that moment, those feelings of sadness, or sometimes there's anger, sometimes there's just kind of, I can't get out of bed in the mornings, or I overeat, or I don't eat anything at all. And I think that description of a fog really describes it well, because you become so focused on yourself and your own feelings that the whole world around you just becomes kind of a blur in a lot of ways. And many students that I've talked to who have dealt with depression, even my own family members who have struggled with depression, I can tell you that none of them wanted it. It wasn't like they were leaning into it or guided into it. Sometimes it just happens because of our biology, what's called the neurotransmitters in our brain. Other times it happens because of life circumstances, and it can happen even because of relational circumstances. And so I totally understand, and even I've had personal experience in my own family with people who have struggled with depression. But I also know this. I know that for many students that are watching this right now, there is a struggle with depression that can sometimes lead to thoughts of suicide or thoughts of self-harm. And not all the time, but sometimes these two can be linked together. Because your depression will feed into the way that you think about yourself or your world, and then it kind of leads you down a road of thinking I should end it all, or I should stop the hurt in some way. And what I really appreciated about Alan's message this morning for church is that he specifically had a message for people who are struggling with these thoughts of suicide. So I want to play that little clip for you and just kind of talk about that a little bit more.
Maybe you've planned something out, maybe you've played it out in your mind. And maybe you've even thought of how, where, when, why. But if you've ever had those thoughts, I want you to know these three truths. Now, the first one is that the enemy is making you promises that he can't keep. Just as he tempted Jesus when he took him to the top of the temple and said, jump off and angels will come and will save you. That is a lie that Satan knows that he could not keep that promise. I want you to know that the enemy is making you promises he can't keep. He has no intentions of keeping them. To seek, to kill, to destroy, to devour, that is Satan's job. Remember, he's the father of lies. Secondly, I want you to know that ending your life does not end the pain. It exponentially multiplies it. For those left behind, for those waiting to see, those looking to see, like, was it something I said? Was it something I didn't say? The questions, what could we have done differently? The ripple effect of a suicide is so far greater than you could know. It doesn't stop the pain of depression. It multiplies it. And then thirdly, I want you to know this. You may feel like no one understands your situation, but Jesus does. And I know that sounds like a Bible school, Sunday school type of answer, but it's true. The Bible tells us that Jesus was tempted in every way that we would be tempted. So no, when you think that no one could possibly understand what you're going through, he does. He has. He feels our pain.
You know, I can personally talk about how ending your life doesn't end the pain, it exponentially multiplies it. I know that the very first funeral that I did here at Northside was by a former student. His name was Nick. Nick, at the time, was 22 years old. He was engaged to a girl, and he had a 2-year-old child. And Nick had struggled with depression for a long time. He had struggled with an abusive past, abusive history. And for whatever reason, Nick came to the point where he thought that he should end his life. And I'll never forget during that funeral where I was sitting in the audience, they were playing a memorial video for Nick. And there was a picture up on stage. They had cremated his body, so there's the urn, and then there was a big picture of Nick just on the stage. And the family was sitting on the front row like they do for most funerals. And I remember his 2-year-old child saying, "There's Daddy. Look, it's Daddy, Mommy. It's Daddy." And he was pointing at the picture that was on the stage. And I couldn't help but think, oh man, Nick, maybe the pain ended for you, but how much it multiplied for your child. For this kid who's going to grow up now without a father. And I see it time and time again. Whenever people are thinking about suicide, they're so focused internally that they don't realize the ripple effects of pain that it will cause in this world. And so if you're struggling with that right now, with thoughts of harming yourself or even thoughts of suicide, I want to encourage you first, you're not alone. All right? There are many people have struggled with this very thing. But the second thing I want to encourage you to do is talk to a life group leader, talk to a church leader, talk to one of us, send us a direct message through this platform, or call the National Suicide Prevention Hotline. Because there are people who care about you, who love you, and oftentimes suicide is a permanent solution to what is called a temporary problem. Because oftentimes our feelings will pass, situations will change, things will be different. There is hope for the future, but this is not the end. So I appreciate that so much with what kind of Alan had to say just about those who are struggling just with suicide.
Yeah, for sure. We definitely want to make sure you guys know that there is help and you can reach out and you can get help. Talk to a leader, message us on Instagram or Facebook, reach out to your parents, call the National Suicide Prevention Hotline. There are resources for you, so we want to make sure that you know about that. But going back to just talking about depression, Alan used a story from the Bible this morning to illustrate this well, and it was from the book of 1 Kings. It was chapter 19, and it's this prophet Elijah. And Elijah, what had happened, I'm going to kind of sum up the story, but I definitely encourage you to watch Alan's sermon in whole if you haven't yet. But Elijah had just had this literal mountaintop experience in 1 Kings 18 where God sent lightning from heaven and showed up in this miraculous way and like way overcame these idols that the Israelites had fallen into worshiping instead of the Lord God. And so it's this amazing moment where Elijah defeats the enemy, and it's amazing. People are like turning, like they're seeing God's power. It's amazing. And then right after that, because of this huge victory, the queen of Israel at that time, I can't remember what her name is. Do you remember?
Jezebel.
Jezebel. Mm-hmm. How'd I forget? Jezebel decides she's going to kill Elijah. So Elijah has to run out into the wilderness, and he runs and he finds this broom tree, and he sits under it, and he just pours out his heart to God. He is so, he just feels so low. And Alan talked about this, and he brought up a really helpful acronym for us. So let's go ahead and show this little clip right here.
He's letting God heal him spiritually, but he's also letting God heal him physically. Maybe you've been there before where you just go back to bed and you pull those covers over your head and you're listening to your body. Your body needs rest. He's catching up on sleep. He's listening to his weary body. You know, counselors will tell us that we make our most destructive decisions when we're one or more of these things: hungry, angry, lonely, tired. You know, we see the word halt there. It's easy to remember. I just think of our household, and when there is a meltdown, whether it's our 5-year-old or dad, when there is a meltdown, it's almost always connected to one of these things: hungry, angry, lonely, or tired.
So these things that Elijah is experiencing, he's hungry, he's angry, he's lonely, he's tired, halt. When we are feeling those things is most likely when we start to feel depressed. These seasons of our life where we're alone, we feel lonely. Everything is like magnified to seem worse than it is. We lose an accurate perspective when we're hungry, angry, lonely, and tired. And this is what Elijah was dealing with in 1 Kings 19. And one of the things he does, how God cares for him in this moment, is Elijah takes a nap, and then he wakes up and God feeds him because he was hungry. He talks to God, so he knows he's not alone. An angel actually shows up and comforts him. And then he takes another nap, because it's a process. It's not just like take a nap and you're over depression. That's not how this works. But actually, it didn't really even stop there. It's a process. See, after this, Elijah goes out into the wilderness for 40 days and 40 nights, which, if you know your Bible, is a pretty typical thing for God's people to go through. But then he ends up in this cave, and even then he still is feeling alone and rejected, and he's depressed. And that's true for us when we get depressed. It's a process. It's not a quick fix. And I love that Alan pointed out those things that can help us identify maybe where our incorrect perspective is being rooted in. Maybe we're hungry. You make bad decisions when you're hungry. Sometimes you go to Taco Bell at 2 in the morning, and that's a bad decision. I'll just tell you, I've personally done it several times, and it's never a good decision to do that. But also, when you feel alone and you feel like no one loves you, it's hard to see how God sees you. And that's what we're talking about. That's how Elijah was feeling. He was feeling rejected. He was angry because this queen wants to kill him, even though he's doing what he was supposed to do. All these different things. And so we have to start with admitting there's a problem. And sometimes identifying that through hungry, angry, lonely, tired helps us to admit, oh, something's wrong. And so I want us to start there. If you think you might be depressed, think about those things. What in your life are you missing or you feel is wrong? And then identify that and then tell someone. But we have to start with admitting there's a problem and then take the next step of reaching out.
You know, I really appreciated Alan's message of hope just when there's darkness all around. And Garrett, I think those are really wise words, man, of just admitting it and then just taking a step out, reaching out for help, saying, I need someone to just help me with what's going on in my life. I also, and we didn't really talk about this on Sunday morning, Alan didn't, he's going to be talking about it this Wednesday on the Word for Wednesday, which is going to be on our Northside YouTube channel, Northside Facebook, all of that kind of stuff, about how do you help someone who's going through or dealing with or struggling with depression. And so I just wanted to give you a few ideas that if you have a friend that's struggling with depression, that you can do, and you can just kind of keep this in the back of your mind so that way you can actually be helpful and you can actually care for them in a really healthy way. The very first thing I would tell you is don't judge. Don't judge. Oftentimes, people who have never struggled with depression or don't struggle with depression at all, they'll look at someone who is struggling with depression and they'll want to say things like, just get over it or move past it. They'll say things like, if they're Christians, they may say things like, well, maybe you just need to pray more or put your faith in the Lord more. And people who are struggling with depression, like, they don't want to be depressed. So some of those statements are not helpful to them at all. In fact, it kind of tells them that there's something wrong with you and you should just move on or fix it. And I think for most people who are struggling with depression, they've tried to fix it and they can't. In fact, that's why they're reaching out to someone else for help. So don't judge when someone reaches out to you and says, I'm really dealing with this right now in my life. The second thing that I would tell you is just to be present, be a friend. Even when it's awkward or you don't know what to do or what to say, just be with them. Because oftentimes people who are struggling with depression just need someone to talk to. They need a friend. They need a good listening ear. They need someone to care for them, to just be with them, to tell them, you're not alone. I'm in this with you, and I want to hear more about what's going on just in your life. Third, I would say this, ask the hard question. And oftentimes the hard question for someone who's expressing their depression, and sometimes we don't feel comfortable asking this, but I think we need to, because I think it's a question that we have to ask. And here's what I mean. Here's the question. Have you ever thought about, or are you thinking about hurting yourself or someone else? And oftentimes, we don't want to ask this question because we're afraid we'll plant a seed in someone's mind or something on those lines. But, if we're really going to help people, we have to know really what's going on in their hearts and their minds. And so you need to ask this question. Now, if they answer yes, then you need to immediately get them help. And so that means that you need to communicate with them and help them talk to their parents, or help them talk to a counselor or a youth leader, or to reach out to even the Suicide National Prevention Hotline, those kinds of things to get them the help that they need. You cannot do it by yourself. I'll just tell you right now, you can't. And so you need to be the one that sometimes says, listen, I know you're struggling with this and you've shared this with me, but I need to help you. And even though you may not want your parents to know about this, or you may not want my parents to know about this, I need to tell them because you said that you were going to hurt yourself, and I don't want that to happen because I care about you. The fourth thing I would say is, help them get help. Remember, you are not the Savior, Jesus is, right? And Jesus gave the world the church to bring hope, and so you cannot do it by yourself. Instead, help take that person to a broader community that can surround them with love and care for them. The last thing that I would just say that's a good tip for helping someone who's struggling with depression is just to pray. Pray. Pray for them. Pray for their heart. Pray for other people to be put into their life to help bring the hope of Jesus in their life. Pray for joy to be restored. I mean, David prayed for that in the Psalms. He prayed that God would renew his strength and restore the joy of his salvation. And so, spend time praying for that person every day. Pray with them. Write them notes of your prayers. Pray individually on your own for that person, because our God is powerful and he works when we reach out to him in prayer. So those are just a few of the tips that I would encourage you with, that if you have a friend or you have a family member that's struggling with depression, don't judge, be present, ask the hard question, help them get help, and pray. Just pray for them.
That's great. That's really good advice. Thank you, Tybin. We have one final thought, and I think about what I wanted to say. And this morning in Alan's sermon, it's a longer clip of Marion Conover talking about what depression is. And he said this line, and it really stuck out to me this week as we were preparing. It says, "Many of God's chosen have struggled with depression, and God has still used it for his purposes." And I just think that's so true. Having depression, going through depression, it doesn't disqualify you from being a servant in God's kingdom. It doesn't mean that you must not really know the Lord. That's not what depression is. And I just want to tell you personally, some of the most incredible people I know, people who are kingdom workers, people who have done huge, incredible, giant things for God, are some of the people who have gone through depression multiple times. And they've really struggled in certain seasons to see the goodness of God and taste that goodness of God. But they didn't let it stop them. They started the steps. They took the steps to reach out, and they started to walk through it. Even as they gone through it multiple times, they knew they weren't disqualified, and there was still hope. And I just want to say that to you guys too, or maybe you just have a friend that you need to remind that they're not disqualified because they're depressed. That's not what separates them from the Lord. And I want you to know that Jesus suffered in every way that a human could suffer. He went through all sorts of pain, a lot of pain that most of us will never experience, but he still went through it. And he went through it for you, whether or not you're depressed. So even the truth of God and his gospel, his grace, his love is the same, regardless of how we're feeling or how we can see things around us. And I want to offer you that hope in this truth that whether you're depressed or whether your friend is depressed or you don't know someone's depressed and later on in life you struggle with this, he died for you and he's still offering you new life through him. He's offering you a new spirit, and joy is a part of that. And so even if you're in a dark area right now, don't give up. There is hope, and you're not ruined. God is still going to use you if you let him. And so I just want to encourage you guys with that. We can bring light into the world where God will work and help us heal. And I think that's all of our jobs, is to do that. And so we want to encourage you, if you're struggling right now, reach out. Either tell your parents, tell somebody, or you can reach out to us. My email is garrett@northsidechristianchurch.net. Kevin's email is kevin@northsidechristianchurch.net. It's pretty easy to remember. If you need help, reach out to us, because we want to connect you with the right people, the right resources, and remind you of God's truth for your life. Thank you guys so much for joining us tonight. Kevin, did you have anything else you wanted to say?
I just want to say we love you guys. We miss you. I can't wait to get back together because I love seeing your faces. I love hearing the stories of what happened in the past week. So we miss you guys a bunch, and we'll catch you later. We'll see you next week right here at 6:30, Life Group Live.
Bye, guys.
See ya.